Do words like self-respect, honesty, and honor make you sick to the stomach? Did you just skip the advert asking you to donate money to a certain country in dire need? This chess opening list was made specially for you. Yes, you, who have zero fear of social rejection, isolation, or eternal damnation. Yes, because number 3 on this list will send you straight to hell, but not before you leave a trail of butchered opponents in your wake. The butchering of which starts as early as d4 d5, because e4 is the Blackmar-Demer gambit. A pawn is sacrificed as early as move 2, but the following normal-looking moves by black will land him in a world of misery. Knight c3 attacks the pawn and knight f6 defends it. The key move here is f3, threatening to win back the pawn and gain a strong center. Pawn takes pawn, but here, queen takes sets a dirty trap. The d-pawn is hanging. Queen takes, but after bishop e3 hitting the queen, a huge number of your opponents will go queen b4, hitting the b2 pawn. And how would you protect it? Surely not castles, right? Because bishop g4 will pin the queen to the rook. So naturally the move is? Castles anyway. Yes, because after bishop g4, white unleashes an elite level tactic to win the game on the spot. You can pause the video if you want to gamble with your dopamine levels. The move here is knight b5. Disgusting, because if bishop takes queen, there is a nasty checkmate in one move. But what happens after knight d7? This is where you appreciate just how strong of a move knight b5 really is, because not only did it threaten mate, it also cut off the queen's protection of b7. So queen takes b7, and where will this rook go? If rook d8, this knight will once again deliver an instant checkmate. But can you let me know down below the absolute bloody filth you would play after rook b8? The Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Gambit. This is for you e4 players, looking for something slimy to play against the Caro-Kann or the Scandinavian defense. Knight f3. The sacrifices begin immediately. Takes and knight f5, looks to regain the pawn, which makes knight f6 the logical reply. And now d3, is eerily similar to the idea in the previous opening. Takes, bishop takes, and here, the most natural move h6, loses on the spot. Knight takes f7 forks the queen and the rook, but after king takes, bishop g6 check and it's lights out. All normal looking moves lead to utter destruction. These are the openings I'm serving you tonight. Let's take a quick look at how you will play this against the Caro-Kann defense. In this position, queen takes queen is the so-called intercontinental ballistic missile. Use it today. Chess is a beautiful addiction. It will keep you indoors glued to your screen, and not out there, voting for Joe Biden and his friends. Number 8 on this list is a surprise entry. You won't be destroying anyone with this opening, but you will go straight to hell for playing it. Right here, among us, are the most bottom, lowest of the low scum of the earth that stick to this opening like hair on soap. Because take this majestic fortress for example, an impenetrable structure rising from a Slav or Caro-Kann setup. The most solid, most defensive openings known to chess. Now imagine playing this, with the white pieces. That is the London system. Rock solid, bone dry, dead slow opening moves played in the hope that the other side gets bored, lashes out, and starts capturing pieces they shouldn't be touching. And unfortunately, they often do. Takes and all of a sudden, they are in a world of pain. Comment down below if you're a proud London system player. We promise to reply with love and respect. But now for a change of pace. At number 7, straight out of the unholy toolbox of a dirty chess player's arsenal, is the Russo gambit. e4 knight f3, and after bishop c4, white thinks he is going for a normal Italian or fried liver attack. But f5 injects a nasty venom into the position. Takes, and now the pawns gain initiative over the pieces. e4, knight retreats and d5, but instead of retreating the bishop, and accepting inferior development, less space, and a slight drop in testosterone levels, all your opponents will play the scary queen check on f5. But after king e7, believe it or not, this is the safest king on the board. Bishop retreats, and after knight f6 hitting the queen and collecting this pawn, black has excellent development. Except, white won't let you capture his pawn just like that. h6 and the queen sticks to the pawn, knight d4 adds another attacker, and g4 adds another defender. But after bishop d7, and virtually any move by white, that queen is gone. Gone faster than your white. You know what? Never mind. Divorce is no laughing matter. Let's focus instead on an opening strategy I personally hate the most. Flank attacks. A dirty weapon you can use against the King's Indian, Dragon Sicilian, Grunfeld, Hippopotamus, and basically any opening in which black has this structure on the king's side. d4 knight f6, bishop f4 g6, queen d2 and bishop g7, gives white a target. The plan is to use this battery, and a timely h-pawn thrust to cause black serious problems, and weirdly, players of all ratings seem to struggle against this sneaky idea. Here is an example of a quick victory by white. And in this position, checkmate is in 2 moves. Type it down below, but before you go off to use 1d4 to destroy your opponents, what are you going to do against 1e5? A tricky gambit in which black comes out swinging right off the bat, d4 e5, and after takes and knight c6, white does all he can to hang on to his pawn. Until queen b4 check, hitting 3 targets at once. Bishop retreats is the best move, but after queen takes b2, many of your opponents will find the fancy bishop c3, providing the rook with x-ray protection, while simultaneously, losing on the spot. Because bishop e4, and white is finished. Most games end in the next 2 moves after the normal-looking queen d2, takes, and checkmate. At number 4, we have something for the slightly higher rated among us. The hippopotamus defense. A series of 10 passive moves you make, while you wait for your opponent to castle. But what's so dirty about that? Exactly. Well, it's not the individual moves per se, but the sneaky idea behind the whole opening. Because as soon as your opponent castles, you start flooding your pawns towards his king and preparing to castle the opposite side. But surely, if you can do this to your opponent, he can also do the same to you, right? Well, that's where this unique pawn structure comes into play. As soon as white thrusts a pawn at the center, or wherever your king is, you lock the structure. And in this position, after b5 what do you play? Yes, a5 locking both the center and the queen side. Because after long castles, rook b8 and rook c1, white is never getting anywhere close to your king. But you on the other hand, are about to throw all you have in the kitchen sink at his. Material is equal, but this position is dead lost for white. The hippo is one of my favorite openings. Let me know down below if you would like a more detailed and in-depth video on the hippopotamus defense. But if you're in the mood for something more raw and bloody, the Danish gambit can easily claim to be the most brutal opening we have on this list tonight, because e4, e5 and d4 is the first pawn sacrifice. Takes and c3 is the second pawn sacrifice. Takes and after bishop takes, the following game shows the power of the bishop pair. There's also a lesson about greed in there somewhere. Bishop b4 check, knight shields, knight f6 attacks white's pawn, but in true gambit fashion, white ignores and focuses on development. A few moves down the road and we get to this position. White is 3 pawns down, and black is dead lost. Knight f6 check is disgusting. Takes and after queen g4 check, watch the brutal coordination of the queen and the pair of bishops. Queen h4 threatens to win black's queen, so bishop retreats, but now, the silent bishop d3. And it's curtains. Checkmate is inevitable. They say in the Danish gambit, you die with a belly full of pawns, and that's exactly what happened in this game. But this brings us to the next opening. The dirtiest filth you can pull on a beginner chess player, to crush their confidence right from the get-go. e4, e5 and bishop c4, is the bishop opening. If you can call it that. Because after bishop c5, queen h5, and we all know where this is going. We've all been through it. It's a rite of passage into this beautiful game, it's initiation, it's ritual. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I won't spoil it for you. Get out there, play a few games and the boys will show you. But before you go, this last one is on top of my dirty list tonight, and for good reason, because after e4, e5, f4 kick starts the mayhem. You've seen multiple gambits tonight, but none like this one. Because after knight f3, g5 and bishop c4, we are in a weird position where if you think a particular move is crazy, it's probably the best move. Castles. Yes, castles. In the king's gambit, pawns and pieces are sacrificed equally. Takes and after queen takes, you are probably getting a rough idea of what the plan is here. Queen f6, and the following moves by white, I can only describe as insane. I won't ruin any of them with my commentary, let's just sit back and enjoy sweet brutality on display. In this position, you can either go for checkmate, or you can play Pac-Man with black pieces. Which type of player are you? I hope you're the type that leaves a like on this video. Even if I may have taken a huge dump on your favorite opening. Here is a random picture of a cute dog to help you subscribe. Cheers.